Hi everyone, Tasha here and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to create a Crafty Quokka themed card using items from Kat Scrappiness. This new Crafty Quokkas Stamp Set is so cute, and this is from their new release. It has 3 little quokkas and a bunch of little accessory stamps. We'll be using one of them for today's project. In addition, I'm going to be using the double stitched heart craft dies, and these are great because they have that stitch details, and the stitched scalloped heart craft dies, and I'm using them together like so. So it's kind of like a layered look, but you have that scalloped frame. I really like how that looks. And then we're going to be using this frame die. This is an A2 frame set, and I'm using the largest one for this project. And it's great because it's a thin frame and it cuts out that center area. So this is going to be in combination of those hearts. And then for paper, I'm using this really fun print from the new Crafty Quokkas paper pad. I have been wanting to use this print for the longest time. I love all those little quokka images. And then I'm going to use some brightly colored cardstock and some silver glitter to coordinate with the colors used on this pattern paper. So all those colors will be used. So to begin this project, I started by cutting out the 2 hearts. I did this off camera to save time, but I'm going to show you what they look like. So I cut out 1 pink and then 1 white. The white is going to be used for the stamping of the quokka, and then I'm using that pink just for that frame around the edge of the heart. Once my little heart was all cut out, I'm taking it over to my Misty tool. You can stamp your image first and then cut it out, but I just wanted to make sure I had the quokka in the right spot. So I cut the heart out first, and then I'm going to stamp the quokka in the center. I am going to stamp him kind of up higher since I want to put a greeting on this card at the end, and I thought it would look nicer to have the greeting on the bottom. So I'm just moving him up in position, having his little ears on each side, and then I'm just going to go in with some black ink and stamp him 2 times. I wanted to make sure he was nice and dark, so it's a good thing to use like a stamping tool or some type of Misty stamping tool for these type of stamps, because then you get a really good impression, and if you have to stamp again, you can. So once he was all stamped out, I went over and started coloring. I'm just going to use different shades of tan for this little quokka. I started with a light color, just went all over his little fur areas and his little head and his ears, and then I went in with a darker shade for his nose. This is a darker brown, and it does come up pretty dark on the camera as well, but we're going to blend it with some other colors so it'll all look like fur in the end. So I'm just going in with the shadow areas. This is going to be the darkest shade that I'm using, and I'm going over his arms, his belly, around his face, and then around the ears. And again, this is the same color that I just used on his nose, and this will be the darkest color for the quokka. Once I was done, I went in with a little bit of a lighter brown, and I'm just going to start pulling that color towards the center. I want the center of his face to be the brightest area, so I'm just going to use this shade that's slightly lighter than the darkest brown and just pull it towards the center. Once I was done, I went in with another shade that had a little bit more of a red brown, and I'm pulling this color in again. And this color will be a little bit more towards the face because I'm only going to use one more color after this. So this is the lightest of the darker tan colors that I'm using, and I'm just blending everything together. This way the center of the face is still nice and bright, but we have all of those shadow areas and that little fur detail that we just created. And then I added some more color for that around his cheeks, and just to blend everything together, some more of that lightest color that I started with. I just wanted to make sure that I kept that center area light. I did add some pink on the cheeks, and then I went in and added a darker shade of gray for inside of his mouth before coloring the little stamping accessories. I just love his happy little face so much. This has to be my favorite quokka out of the whole set. He just looks so happy. Then after coloring the pink stamp pad and the green little stamp, I went in with a deep yellow shade for the background. Again, I'm coordinating with the colors in that pattern paper, and I thought this bright yellow just kind of went with his happy little smile. After I was done with the yellow background, I decided to color his desk area blue to kind of coordinate with the yellow color. And again, it's another color that's in that pattern paper. I was inspired by all those colors and I wanted to make sure I had those colors in this little heart center. Once all the coloring was done, I just went in with a white gel pen and added some little gel accents. I like putting little dots on his happy little cheeks and then just on his little stamping accessories. I finished up the card with just some purple around the stamp blocks just to add a little bit more color, but this is how he looks all colored up. Next, before I start cutting my pattern paper, I wanted to show you what this frame looks like when it's cut out. So I used this pretty blue and then I cut out the largest frame. This frame will measure 4 and a quarter by 5.5, so a standard A2 size card. So I'm cutting my pattern paper down to that same size. It was slightly too big when I did my first cut, so I just had to move it over just a little bit to make it fit perfectly with that frame. I didn't want the pattern paper showing on any of the edges. And then I'm just kind of showing you what it looks like as I start piecing those layers together. Now I wanted some more sparkles, so I'm using this silver glitter paper. This is a really sparkly silver glitter. And then I'm going to be using a piece of green cardstock for the back layer. I just thought, again, we're bringing in more of those colors that are used throughout this card, and I like how that green kind of complements the blue and the pink heart. So this is how it's going to look. I keep adding my layers just to kind of see how everything is fitting together. But since that silver piece of paper is such a big piece and it's solid, I decided to go in and cut another frame, one slightly smaller. This way I have a glitter frame for a future project, or if I want to use it for something else, and then I have that center area. It was just a lot of glitter paper to waste for a piece of paper that's going to be covered up by more paper. So I do this a lot with my glitter. I love adding glitter whenever I can, but it's good not to waste by cutting out a piece if you're just using it for layering. So I'm using my glue runner and I'm just going to glue it to that green cardstock. I love this shade of green too. It's bright and it's kind of like a color you can use all year round. It's just so pretty. So I went in and just added that frame, and then I'm going to build my layers on top. I'm going to add that pattern paper right on top of that silver, and you're not even going to notice that I cut out that center. And again, we can save that glitter for a future project. So I'm just making sure I have it as even as possible with those edges, and then I'm going to put that frame on. Since this frame is a little bit skinny for my glue runner, I thought it'd be easier to use liquid adhesive. So I'm just going to go around with my liquid adhesive and then line it up with that pattern paper. The plus side about having this the same size as that pattern paper is that I don't have to worry about getting anything straight or even. I really just have to line up one corner and then hold it in place while I line up the other side and then press everything down. This is so easy to do, and I think that frame adds a really nice detail to the card. It gives it a good finish look, and I like that extra pop of color. Next, I use liquid adhesive to attach that center heart, my little cute quokka, to the pink scalloped heart, and I'm going to use foam tape to attach it to the card. This way it's raised up a little bit. Again, it's adding a little more interest by having it a little bit higher than the rest of those layers, and I love using foam tape. So I just cut a piece of foam tape and then cut little pieces so that we don't waste foam tape, but we have tape all around the edges and in the center so that it's nice and sturdy. And then I'm going to add some little pearlescent little sequins. These sequins are so pretty. This is the peach solid round confetti sequins from Kat Scrappiness. They have so many shades of this style sequins and they're just beautiful. When the light hits them, you get this really pretty iridescent type of color, and I love this peach color with the yellow. So I'm using my little Kat Scrappiness tweezers to help me adhere them. They have a little bit of a cup on one side of them, so it's really easy to pick up with your tweezers and just place them. So this is how it looks all together. I'm just loving it. And then I wanted to put a sentiment or a greeting. So I'm using the simple sentiment stamp and die bundle set from Kat Scrappiness. I had used this for a couple projects and I had these left over. These are great because you stamp it once and then the coordinating die cuts all of these little sentiments out all at one time so you can save them for later. And they're the perfect size to mix and match with all your stamps, especially a stamp set like this one since it doesn't come with any greetings. So I'm just going to layer that on a piece of scrap glitter, and this is how it looks all layered up. Lastly, I'm going to attach my card to a deep pink card base. I'm using the same color that I used in that heart, and this is a heavyweight cardstock. And I'm just going to put it right onto the card with enough room to add a little pop of pink around the edges. I think these colors are just so fun and cheerful, and I love this little happy quokka. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's project and a peek at the little Crafty Quokkas Stamp Set from Kat Scrappiness. All the items I use will be listed in the description box below. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.